Okay, welcome everyone. Katarina here from Minecraft, and it is my great pleasure to welcome Petra Lamea Polakova as my guest on my, I guess what is going to be a podcast. And today we will talk about a topic close to my heart and to Petra's heart. We'll talk about ADHD, about ADHD in children, in adults, and we'd like to share a new perspective on the topic. I'm really happy to speak to Petra today because we share the same or similar mission, and our approach and view of children and the future, I think, very much aligns. And the reason we work with children is to prepare them for the future, for the world we're building in the new paradigm. So welcome, Petra. How are you today?
Hi everyone. Kind greetings from the Czech Republic. I guess everyone knows Prague as a capital, but I'm in Hradec Králové, which I don't dare to call a city, the town in Eastern Bohemia. And I'm great because it's the 3rd of 3rd, 2023. That's why we also arranged this meeting. And despite of like some technical problems at the beginning, we are ready to jump into this issue. So I feel very excited, and I will gladly share my views and my inspiration. That's what is this realm all about.
Thank you, Petra. I will say that I forgot that we planned it for the 3rd of the 3rd, and then it jumped into me. I was like, yep, it was meant to be. So I'll briefly introduce you, but I'd like you to talk about your work in more detail afterwards. So I approached Petra because she is an expert in working with children with ADHD. She's a therapist who works with children on a one-to-one basis. She works with families. She works in preschools, nurseries, and schools as well. And her approach is more about tapping into the potential, the gifts and talents of the children, and raising awareness about ADHD as not a deficit as such. So because ADHD, that's what I'd like to start with, because ADHD, that term that is thrown about a lot, oftentimes, you know, any child that can't sit still in a classroom is labeled ADHD. Would you share with us what ADHD means to you? How would you describe it? And how would you describe ADHD yourself from the perspective as a therapist?
Yeah, so for me, I also like to make the link that you mentioned, the new paradigm, because it's exactly what we experienced. And after this COVID period, it's so like in the air everywhere. So according to old paradigm, ADHD is actually attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So we have the deficit and the disorder, which we have to kind of tackle with, because is a diagnosis, of course, but it's seen as perceived as a problem. The way I came to after these years of my work with these kids is actually the new paradigm abbreviation, which might be called, or which is called attention dialed into higher dimensions. So basically the same abbreviation, but we can feel the completely different context or the different essence of this, because suddenly the kids are perceived not like a trouble, but another capacities or something that we just maybe don't understand. And the way of the symptoms, or like the way of behavior, might be the same, kind of disruptive behavior, impatience, they don't kind of respect authorities, etc. But then when we look at that from another perspective and point of view, then we realize that for them, it's not like the authority just because it's the authority. It has to be inner motivation. Like the authority has to be really someone who has this peer approach, who understands them. And so as well, the impatience. What if they are like impatience because their conception or the brain is really very potent, and they are not like lack of focus or problems with focus, but they can focus on more things at the same time, or maybe on things that make sense to them. That's why I really love this book, Would You Teach a Fish to Climb a Tree, from Gary Douglas and Dr. Dan here. And it's something that really impressed me after many years of studying this issue, because, and then we will go deeper in the details of the conceptions of the concept of this, the perception that the kids, what if the kids are only different and not wrong? And what if the kids have other capacities? And what if everything is all right because we don't know what capacities of brain will be necessary in the future, what kind of interface they will have to know, and what kind of issues the kids or the topic is raised into the public, kind of boundaries, self-love, patience, abundance, meaningful activities, meaningfulness of the whole life. So it's basically my concept of perception of the concept of ADHD. And as such, we can work with the kids because we have completely different starting point. And I dare to say it really works.
Wonderful. It's so refreshing to hear you speak about it in this way. So I'm putting myself in the shoes of someone who perhaps have never heard this description of ADHD before and cannot maybe understand or cannot imagine what it means to have a child perceived in this way in a classroom. So would you be so kind, maybe give us an example of an ADHD kid in a classroom, and perhaps their behavior, the struggles they may have, that we agree are not the problem, but how, can you give us a description of a child's behavior in a classroom, what it is that they're struggling with, and how would you describe what is going on for them and what is it that they need support with, or what they need for themselves whilst they're in class?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we wish we have this magical stick that we can really use for everyone with like these issues. Mostly these kids tend to have problems with sitting straight or sitting in one position. They have problems with listening to one person who may be in front of them quite a lot of meters, and they have problems maybe with their peers, classmates, because they are disturbing them, and they just don't feel comfortable in their own bodies. And they don't feel comfortable with the way they perceive the things, because for them everything is very long, very boring, and they really need to entertain, or they really need to have their brain focused maybe on more things. So sometimes it helps to have this small puppet, you know, it's quite now fashionable, quite popular now toy. And so maybe sometimes it's enough for them to press puppet, and they concentrate more on the teacher, what he's saying. Then, of course, it goes together with the whole concept of another way of education, where the kids need to have more space, place, more being outside, and maybe also have the subjects they learn at school more interconnected. So using their hands, or really be in the real life, because they don't really like kind of theory, because for them it's very slow, very boring, and their capacity of brain is like this. And they don't want to be like stopped, and they don't want to be bored, and that's why they don't want to sit still and listen for maybe 45 minutes. So the first thing is that we acknowledge that you really, hey Peter, you really are so fast, and you just, what do you need? What do you need more? And maybe he can have more projects at the same time. So maybe have something in his hand, or maybe bump into some rubber ball or something, or this rubber thing, so they can really engage more senses. They have persistent primitive reflexes, which tend to kind of make them uncomfortable to sit straight. So if the teacher comes and sit straight and sit still, they will always have in their mind, I have to sit straight, I have to sit still and be quiet. And it exhausted them so much, and they will never focus on something that the teacher wants. So include more activities, more relaxing activities, and more mindful activities. Maybe start the class with a simple crossing, some brain gym, some this kind of crossing the hands.
Oh, you're like this, okay.
And crossing the hands and crossing the legs, and just take some 1-2 breaths, and then change the hands and breathe in and breathe out. Because what happens with this, the hemisphere will connect, and they will focus, and then will relax, and they will settle down in their bodies. Sometimes it helps to put some bean bags, maybe something like that, on their shoulders or on their thighs, because they have oftentimes problems with this perception of their bodies. So it also helps them. Oftentimes it also helps them maybe to listen to some music. We have brain music, focus music, or we have solfeggio frequencies, which resonate at certain level, which like the brain develop, which the brain waves are used. And why don't use in the classroom this kind of music, which stimulates, which calms the kids? And I was working with these ADHD kids in one school in Prague, and we were testing only this kind of music, where it was on very silent, like really like only silent music, and it helped the kids focus much better, and the atmosphere in class was much more relaxed, and everyone was like, such relief. So that's the way we teach the schools and the preschool. What can they make? What doesn't take more time to the teacher? On the contrary, if they know what to do, it saves them lots of energy, lots of time of like shouting and being stressed. So every time I say we have to have like the keys. And if we know how the kid works with the key, we can unlock great gift and potential. And the kids become, for me, treasure, because they are bright, they can do so many things, and their perception of life is simply amazing. But we have to have the keys, then it works.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Really resonates with the way I work with kids, about connecting the two different brain hemispheres, finding a relaxed phase or relaxed state of body and mind first, and then kind of actually moving on to an activity. And like you say, it doesn't have to take long. It's often time for children a matter of minutes. I can imagine if every lesson would start with just 5 minutes of just composure, relaxation, then the results would speak for themselves. And I myself love to listen to music whilst I work, especially binaural beat music and solfeggio frequencies as well. So it's so reassuring to hear from you that what you do is the same. I love that. So we've just discussed how to help teachers and the children in a classroom. Coming back to you as a therapist, and coming back to the notion of the new paradigm, would you share with us what this new paradigm look to you, what it is, what is it we're talking about here? And perhaps we can bring in what I love you describe working with X-Men. So you perceive children that you work with as X-Men. Would you share with us about that as well?
Yeah, so I'm a founder of INNP. It's a non-profit organization, and INNP X Academy, which this X stands for like X possibilities and a million possibilities. Then X for interconnection of hemispheres, brain hemispheres, and X for this X-Men, which comes from this book, Would You Teach a Fish to Climb a Tree? Which X-Men are these Marvel superheroes that have their superpowers, and they have some special powers. And the kids, of course, like it, because every time we just start our work with what are your superpowers, and oftentimes they just know very quickly, I am fast, I can focus on more things, and I know how to play my Minecraft very well, etc. And suddenly you just see the switch in their eyes, how they feel like, okay, I am acknowledged here, and I am not a problem, I'm not the trouble. And from this is exactly the way I like everyone works, that we change the point of views. And then we have this approach, like what would help you, or if you are angry, because we often work with anger. So anger means that something or someone is destroying your boundaries. So you have something that is you just feel attacked, and that's why you react. And we work with this concept that anger is, of course, all right, but we scale it from 1 to 10. And every child can say like 10, it's really like you do some disaster, and 1, you are calm. So we just try to make it scaled to 5, 4, etc. So that the anger is a positive thing, but of course it can be destructive. And the kids perfectly can scale that, okay, yesterday I was angry with my classmate number 8, and then they feel very unfair that because it's always a reaction. I like the quotation, behavior is a way of communication. So the way the kids behave, they just don't know how to say it's too much, stop, or do it in a different way. So they burst out, they act out, they throw themselves on the floor, etc. because they simply don't know the other way how to do it. So the first thing that we acknowledge that every kind of behavior is all right, and that they are actually exactly all right and perfect as they are. But of course, we have to tell them, like, okay, what would help you to feel better? And what would help, what do you think it helped your parents to feel better? You know, maybe, and sometimes they say, oh, maybe my mom should change or quit a job. And, you know, and suddenly you just realize how bright the kids are, how empathic they are, and how can really reveal what the teacher thinks, what the parents think. And we just, but they never dared to say, or never dared to realize that it's all right, they think. So we start at this point. And then we work with this, I put all different methods together, and my method is called Metoda PES, which in English is dog, and it's abbreviation for P, like movement, E, emotions, and S, senses. And so we have this consulting based on movement programs, which helps to with these primitive reflexes, with releasing the tension. Then we have the emotions, or some mindfulness activities, and maybe some aromatherapy, music therapy, breathing exercises, of course. And then we have the part of senses, which are numerous activities for nerve connections, this lazy 8 exercises, and lots of like clapping exercises, which also help to develop the brain and to increase concentration, focus, and well balance. And of course, another side of that is also the inner balance, how we call it, like biochemistry, because we can do everything, and sometimes the kid is very tired because it has lack of ferrum, like or lack of omega-3 acids. You know, so there are many products which can kind of stimulate or help. But they are the supplements, not like medicaments, but the supplements or phytotherapy. There are so many things that really work, and we have large scale, and we can test them, test how they would work with the kids, and is also the part like of the awareness rising for the parents, like the way the people sleep, if there is maybe no blue light, the way they eat, if there is maybe too much of chemistry or this kind of artificial supplements, etc. So for me, it's a very holistic approach, which has real context and real, I would say, causes, and the connection of so many aspects. But I know it works, because then we get the treasure, the kid who is happy, the parents are happy, they are balanced, relaxed, and it works. And it is the way how the new society should be working. Instead of suppressing the problems, help the organism to thrive. And we want the kids to thrive, not just to behave like small robots. We want them to be themselves, and to help them reveal their gifts. And also another last thing to that issue, that with this new paradigm, we have to deal with all issues with your heart. So if the teachers, parents open their heart, it's not just a silly statement. It's really, I know, because I know my different approaches towards my kids. If I'm angry, and if I'm really with these high vibes, so the heart helps us to get to the higher vibrations, and suddenly the kids feel your heart, and the way you behave, they react or they behave. So this is the very important thing. Not many teachers and parents want to hear it, but it's about us. Also, how we know how we approach the kids, how we approach our own issues, how we have our own boundaries, how we what is our self-love? Do we have enough time for ourselves? And so on and so on. So this is, for me, is the new shift, the new paradigm, so that the people are happy, less stressed, and do the things what is their mission, what they love to do. And then, of course, the children and the new generation will kind of modify the world and the society.
Thank you for this. You covered so much, but you've mentioned everything that I would have said, and it matters. And it, for me, it comes back to the heart that you mentioned at the end, is that through my own journey and through being a parent to my boys and working with children, it really leads you to connect with yourself, connect to your heart, and maybe realizing it needs to open a bit more, but which can be difficult. However, the gift in opening your heart is that you just are able to feel and experience so much more joy and feel alive and, you know, connected to others and yourself. That is, there's nothing like that. And like you say, this is really the setup. Well, I believe this is the setup for the new world. So what I love about working with children is that they really help you to go within and open your heart. And as much as you're there to support them, they're also there to teach you, because of, I'm putting myself in the shoes of the teacher who's trying to, manage a class of 30 kids, or the frustrated parent that basically, is juggling so many things. But at the end of the day, the children are there to kind of, touch exactly those sore points that we need to heal. So for the teacher, control is a big thing, isn't it? I need to keep the class under control, and I need you to listen to me, because I'm here standing as this adult. And like you mentioned in the beginning, to the kids who are born, or who are, alive now and are being born, just because you're an adult standing in front of the class doesn't give you any rights to feel like you're the authority. That's just not. You need to earn the respect. You need to build a relationship with the child, create connection, and then you can, maybe think about respect. But the relationship comes first. And I love what you talked when you said about getting these kids to a point where they're happy in their own skin, where they, are acknowledged and appreciated by others, because then they can really kind of flourish and then bring those talents and gifts that they have within them to the world. And it's like you said, like, who knows, world, and in 30 years, even 20 years from now, what are the skills that we will need? The world is changing before our eyes, like, already. And I think everyone already understands that, what the schooling system and the society is set up now is not going to equip them to thrive in future. So really glad we're having this conversation, because that's why I work with children too, and it's all about creating an environment in which they can really be themselves and trust in their own abilities. I'd like to come back to you now a little bit, because you have all this experience all this knowledge, but I think it'd be good for others to hear that there's a story to tell about, you know, how you came into this world. And the other thing I'd like you to maybe touch upon is what it is, or what it means to be highly sensitive. Maybe you'll cover that, because I think there are a lot of children that may not be ADHD, but they are highly sensitive, and at the same time, a lot of ADHD kids are highly sensitive. So, how did you come into this work? And tell us about high sensitivity.
So exactly. I now acknowledge I am a highly sensitive person, but maybe I just started to use the concept highly aware person, because the sensitiveness to me has this kind of like, oh, too much, you know, this kind of, oh, don't touch me. But as I work on myself, I have been on my path for several years already now. So I don't feel that I'm only like, oh, too much sensitive, but I become more and more aware. So also the kids are highly aware. So they are aware about world around them in like other dimensions, you know, because we tend to perceive the world only with 5 senses. We have all the Schumann resonance. We have so many things that are already really scientifically proven that we just don't know many things. So these kids, I would say, highly sensitive or highly aware kids are aware. And they are also more aware about everything like noise, smell, to what they see, because sometimes, and it's already my boys went to this course, looking without eyes, or without this seeing without like with covered eyes, because they were taught how to use their hypothalamus. And so it's like, so it's amazing that you see with blind eyes, actually. So for me, it was a proof that it really is, that they see many things, they perceive many things that we just can't imagine. They can, sometimes it sounds strange, but they can read thoughts. It's all written in the books. So sometimes I just think like, oh, maybe you should slow down. And my son comes to me, okay, mom, I slow down. And I just don't say anything with my words. So it's amazing. So if we really start to deal with them in this way, this kind of scientific way, this kind of superhero way, it's really magic. So I was like almost all mothers, so many things changed in my life with the birth of my first son. And I was this aware mother about everything, and I was reading the books, etc. But there were some things that happened, and we just found ourselves in hospitals, and there was this delayed development and movement development of the kid, and like speech problems and movement problems and growth problems, etc. And then I just realized that I have to, so it was very stressful, because we had to be see doctors, hospitals almost every day. And then I was like, okay, the only one I can rely on is me and my intuition. And it's very important to be, to relax, to be calm, and the solution will come. And as it happened, so we found so many great therapists who worked with movement therapy, emotion therapy, different early trauma therapies, etc. And I now realize that I really had to undergo everything with my son so that I can now have the experience, and now I have my own experience with the kids, and I can inspire others. So I made all the progress, and I found all the different training programs, and I was doing kids yoga and adult yoga. And I realized that oftentimes the kids during the yoga classes, they had problems with coordination of their bodies, balance, or simply catching a ball, or they were twisting left and right hand. And at the same time, I realized they had speech problems, or they were more angry, or they were turning around, twisting around all the time, and everyone was like, oh my God. And then I realized that during the before and after class, that I just talked to the parents like, okay, everything is all right with the kids. Maybe you can try this and this method. And I realized that I have the gift to speak to people. And then instead of being just the yoga teacher, I started to be like this consultant. And then I realized I can just simply do it. And I don't have to study physiotherapy or psychology, that I just have enough in myself. And then I can really get so much information, like we call in Czech, like mushroom, that we just get so much.
A sponge, yeah.
Yeah, sponge. And that we really, since then I do the trainings, do the seminars, and do the consulting for kids, for teachers, for parents. And it's my mission to bring joy, to bring relief and ease to the people's life, everywhere where they feel stressed and under pressure. And this high sensitiveness has its pros and cons. So this pros is that I really can kind of tune into other realms and get the information, relax, and settle the things. The cons is that I can't stand places with a lot of noise, a lot of smell, a lot of people. Of course, we are working on that, but the kids who are highly sensitive or aware are really a gift, and they can be good healers because they can feel the energy, they can feel the vibration, they can feel special places. Like I love to go to Glastonbury, Avebury, because there are these places who have the power to heal, to connect, and they love nature. The kids really thrive in nature. They love something they can naturally develop, and they thrive in moments they can teach someone, where they can speak about kind of very interesting issues like the space, the universe, ancient Egypt, etc. So if we just unlock ourselves and unlock their potential, then this high sensitiveness can be such a gift and such treasure.
Yes, totally agree. It's a gift, and we just need to, the way I see it, try and do our best to help the children who are highly aware, highly sensitive, to navigate this world that as it is now, they will experience a lot of stress going through their day. So minimize that, and like you say, spend time in nature. I don't know if you agree, for a lot of ADHD kids, it's really important that they are grounded. So walking around with their bare feet, or just be around trees is really helpful. Water as well. My eldest son, he's highly sensitive. He loves being around water. It's just like he just switches into another person when he's around water. And I don't know if you've noticed, like a lot of the young kids and teenagers are really into crystals right now. Like whenever they're crystals, they just get so excited. So they're naturally drawn to them. Who knows what the world has in store for us. We just have to trust that we allow these kids to thrive and bring forth their true potential. So I wonder if there are any, where we're kind of nearing the hour you have to go. So is there anything you'd like to share with us about your work, maybe a message to parents and teachers, and also where people can find you, find out about what you do, and reach out if they feel drawn to?
So yes, I also wrote a book, Czech, but I wrote a book, and I magically named it How to Develop This Movement, Emotion and Senses. I didn't know that I will be using that. And there is one chapter about this hyperactivity. So it's the first time I just found something that was really tackling this issue, the real like the context. So it's quite years ago, but I would add something else now.
Can I jump in? For those speaking only English, would you show us again the book you shared earlier, that Would You Teach a Fish?
Yes, Would You Teach a Fish to Climb a Tree?
Yeah, that's a good,
really excellent, amazing one. And this is also one interesting book. Is Sally Goddard Blight is a child in it's a child in balance.
Imbalance.
Yes, so this is a translation in Czech, but it also is this kind of opening book. So and we work with these preschools. I would like to share also this nice cards for exercises, which correspond the first year like movement development of the kids, and we have also like rhymes in Czech language. So it's for our preschools program. We have many of them. And
sorry, can I just quickly ask? That caught my attention when you said that there are some neurodevelopment delays in children who then kind of show, if you like, symptoms of ADHD. What happens in the first year of our life that is so crucial in terms of
so first thing is, and I think the basic thing is if the kid experiences early trauma, which means some stressful moments during pregnancy of the mom, or something, even the parents wanted to have a daughter and not son, like the sex issue. So something makes this like early traumas. And then it can develop into the problems during the birth. And after that, if there is this kind of prolonged birth or some like difficulties, so they can have this primitive primary reflexes that are persistent. And then it's really useful to make this exercise, because then the whole development is delayed. Maybe during the third month, they don't really hold straight the head, so there are this kind of, or they don't crawl, or they don't, this kind of developmental stages are they missed something. So it's necessary to return back even later and to make this exercise from the very ground, like exercise is not the ground, and then to stand up. So it's the
Okay,
first
thank you.
thing. And yeah, so we work with that, like in the preschools, in schools they can use during the class. And I would just maybe say that I think we are working in Prague or in Hradec Králové with my colleagues, but I think the most important for me now, what I realized, that everything is about the vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
So the new paradigm is the vibration, and the kids tend to really be happy and like to feel great in environment, because it's very important, the environment they are in, whether it's at home, whether at school. So we call it safe environment, because only in this kind of safe environment we can learn, and we can like we can reveal our potential. And so this vibration. So if we are joyous, we have the higher vibrations, whether we are sad or anxious, stressed, so it's the lower vibrations. If we drink clear water or something like good food, organic food, again, higher vibrations. If we listen to some music, stimulation music, again, higher vibration. A laugh, of course, higher vibration. And so I would say, from like only just what you can do now is just make a small audit, like how is your day, how is your day, and how is the day of your kid. What are the vibrations? Do you start the day by watching the TV news? Or do you begin the day with some nice frequencies, some morning boost energy music, you know, or some nice exercise just to interconnect the brain, so on. How is the way to school? Do you have to really go by car in traffic jam and everyone is stressed, and then the kid goes stressed to school? Where is the stressed teacher? What is your snack? I know sometimes I don't know if it's in England or France or somewhere, they don't even have a break to have a snack, the kids. So what is their lunch? What do they do? What they think? And do the kids have enough space for themselves? Do they have enough space to be without any control? How it is with all the technology? Do they use it properly? Isn't it that they sneak at night and make some TikTok videos, you know? So everything is about the auditing all this and this kind of revealing the way of how we are keeping the vibrations. All the crystals, they raise the vibrations. You know, nature, of course. So if we just have this in mind, we don't have to be experts, but really these practical things. How are our vibration, both emotional and from the environment? Then we can say, okay, we can do anything about that. Are we happy enough so that we do, and we spend lovely life, lovely days, lovely life, and we are happy also with the kids, and we like our kids, we love our kids, we love being with the kids, we love teachers, we love being parents. Of course, we are human, so we have to think about ourselves, about our needs, about our free time, to take 1-2 days off without family. But the most important, that the kids feel that you love them and that you acknowledge them and that you are ready to support them.
I love that. Rather than seeing problems and obstacles and a problem to be fixed, if you like, connect with them on the level of who they really are. And I love that. Thank you so much. Our time is up. I really thank you for taking the time to speak with me today, and I can't wait for this recording to go out into the world. And let's raise the vibrations and prepare our kids for the best future possible. So thank you so much again, and take good care. All the best. And that's it from us for now. Have a good rest of the week. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.